Record on this computer. Are we recording? We're recording. Okay, so welcome to a new season of the Wednesday night men's VAD, Inwood Men's Ashkofa VAD. Is that what we're calling ourselves? We could look for a more cool title. Any ideas?
Come up with something.
What?
Well, come up with something.
We have to come up with something. I think something a little bit cooler than that. Okay, fine. So Bekitzer, the Sefer Bamidbar, of course, is known by the non-Jewish world as numbers for the very simple reason that Jewish people are counted. Let's just remind ourselves how that works. And because this whole share is on Zoom, I'm going to share my screen with you, which means that instead of you having to listen to me, you can actually look at some pages which I prepared before the share. And that's very impressive. Look, Abby's nodding. Look, I see the smile there. He's, oh, wow. Yeah. We're going very upmarket here. And Hashem speaks to Moshe. It's in the Oil Moed, and it's in the first of the second month, Shon HaShenis, in the second year. It says in Eretz Yisrael Lemor, when they went out from Mitzrayim, and he says, Suas Rosh Kol Adas B'nai Yisrael. So count is the usual translating of the word, which is where they got the book Numbers from. The whole of the Jewish people, because I'm according to the families, the base of life, according to their fathers' houses. So your status as a Jew is determined by who your mother is. Jewish mother, Jewish child. What kind of Jewish child, as Rashi points out, the diuk, the inspiration of the halacha is the fact that it says the base of Isam. So if as a Levi, then you're a Levi. It goes according to the father. But what sort of Jew? That's what sort of Jew? That you're a Jewish mother. But Mispar, Shemais, according to their numbers of the names, called Zochel the Gogolosam, each one according to their Gogelish. Tons to say in Gogelish. Also the word Gilgul, coming back. I'm not going to go there tonight. You'll see where I want to go tonight. Shortly. Fine. Mibenes from Shana V'mala, they've got to be 20 years of age. And if we had lots of time, I would tell you what the Alshich has to say about being 20 years of age. Because at this time, says the Alshich, this is the point at which Klal Yisrael reached the number of 600,000 be'erach, and there were 600,000 angels that come down to Har Sinai with Hashem to give the Torah. Klal Yisrael wants and has an ambition to replace the heavenly family, and it's going to be us. We are going to be the place where Hashem dwells. Okay, Ben Esrim Shana Mamala. So when he got to Ben Esrim Shana up, then that's when it was 600,000. This is when it could happen. They're going to be counted according to their regiments. You and Aaron are going to do the counting. That sets the scene. And then after that, it tells us who's going with, because it's not just Moshe and Aaron, but it's the heads of all the Shvatim. So I'll just read that for a little bit. And the heads of the tribes are going to go there as well. Who are going to be the accompaniers are the tribe of Reuven, Elizur ben Shadi, or the Shimon, Shmuel ben Shadai, the Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminodov, etc., etc. And these are Eli Karoi Ha'ida, jumping the whole list of names. These are the elite, the most choshev of Klal Yisrael. The Siyum Matas of Oisam Roshi Alpha Yisraelim, the heads of the fathers' families or tribes, Shvatim, and they are the ones who are going to be going with you. Fine. Yikach Moshe es Aaron es Hanoshim Ele. And off they go. Now, after this, then tells you the numbers of each of the tribes, and you always know that when there's no Rashi on the page, then you know that it's just going to go over the same thing again, like in Pashas Nosai, when the heads of the tribes give their presents, it's always the exact same thing. Not a lot to say there. Then I'm jumping to Posuk Mem Beis. And there's a lot to say here. So after there is the calculation of the numbers of how many each Jews in each tribe, excluding Shevet Levi, which is not counted with the rest of Klal Yisrael, then there is a grand total. And the grand total takes us to the 600,000. Okay? Now, let's pause for a second. And at this point, I invite your participation. Why did Hashem count the Jewish people here? Why are they counted here?
Like someone is counting money, he likes it, he counts it again and again and again.
Excellent. So, Chazal usually give the give the mashal of somebody who is a collector of certain things. He may be a numerist, he collects coins, or a philatelist. I immediately turn to my friend Avi from Israel and say, "What's a philatelist?" And of course he's going to say, but don't worry, everybody says that. And I turn to my friend Moshe, who has got a really good American education, and English is his first language. Philately, Moshe, what's philately?
That's like fatality?
Philately will get you nowhere. Did you get that one? That's very good. Philately will get you nowhere. Okay, philately is a collector of stamps. So the people who, my Rosh Hashiva, Bleb Durbitz, the Tzaddik Kodesh Livrocha, he told me he told us once in the Shmuz, he was a Rav in the shul in London before he became Rosh Hashiva in Gateshead, and one of the members of his Kehillah collected babies' bottles. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
From all over the world. And he had them on his wall. Every shul needs a mashugana, right? And so here, this baby's bottles on the wall. Anyway, Taka, very interesting.
Full bottles or empty bottles?
Sorry?
Full bottle.
Yes, I assume empty bottles, yeah. The wine bottles, okay, fine. Or the wine bottles. Okay, excuse me. So that's the normal explanation of this. Okay, but we're going to go a little bit more deeply into this. So that's one reason for counting the Jewish people. Another reason for counting the Jewish people is that this was after the Eagle, maybe a little bit. But certainly, as Rashi says, whenever there's a major event in Klal Yisrael's history, then they are counted. And there's a major event, which is now, we're going to set up the Mishkan, and Hashem Yisborach is going to come and dwell in the middle of Klal Yisrael. So let's just remind you something that we said, we probably many times in the past, but it's crucially important. And that is when Klal Yisrael makes the Egel Azov, Klal Yisrael says the Gemara was not roy, was not worthy is the wrong word, was not, it wasn't their fault. Can a person beat his Yetzer Hara? Can a person defeat your can you defeat your Yetzer Hara?
Sure.
You cannot. It's impossible. He's far more powerful than you are. But with the help of Hashem Yisborach, then of course you can beat and destroy your Yetzer Hara. But you need to have Hashem's help. Everybody, the greatest, everybody needs the help of Hashem Yisborach, or you are, as they say in America, toast. That means that Hashem Yisborach withdrew his help so that Klal Yisrael were going to make this mistake. And generally the idea is now, and of course it's a very strange yontif we're heading to Shavuos. And we're heading to Shavuos, it's the only yontif that we celebrate, which is a disaster. Oh, we get the Torah, but we all know what comes next. Right? You see, it's that's something to celebrate. Wow, we get out. It's got a nice happy ending. We did get out. But this is going to be us getting the Torah in which we're going to blow this. There's going to be an Egel Azov. Why an Egel Azov? So Chazal say that Hashem Yisborach took them out too quickly. That's why the Mishkan, the setting up of the Mishkan, the Shekhinah is going to come in the second month of the second year because it was too soon, the 7 weeks.
210 years was too soon?
Sorry?
210 years was too soon?
The 7 weeks was too soon.
I mean, to get the Torah from the time they left. Oh.
And now, for that not to happen again, for them to be overwhelmed by the presence of Hashem, because the presence of Hashem is now going to be amongst them in the Mishkan, then, as it were, Hashem spreads it out. They get, Madriga, Acha, Madriga, and then the way the camp's set up, you've got Moshe there, and the camp, the three families of Levim round about it, and then Klal Yisrael's further back, to get them ready for this thing. So the obvious question is, if it was too much before, why did you let them, or why did you give them a Torah after only 7 weeks? So Chazal say a very interesting thing, that if you live in a generation, which the generation is so bad that you might despair and think that Hashem is finished with us, and maybe people are thinking that sort of thought at the moment with the coronavirus, and we're not able to daven in minyanim, and all our yeshivas are closed, and our seminaries or Beis Yaakovs are closed, and you might think, oh, wow, we're not, Hashem, in the way he's designed this Megefa, he's taken away all the tools that Klal would use in order to get the Megefa removed. They come together in tefillah and b'chulu. Never despair. That's a shita you should never have. There's a promise Hashem says he's never finished with Klal Yisrael. And if you were to despair, don't forget to remember the time when Klal Yisrael was so bad, they said to Moshe, I'm going to finish them off. I'll start again with you after the Egel is off. So Hashem withdrew or calculated, designed it that we would fail as an inspiration for future generations, because when we crashed so dramatically, then still Hashem Yisborach was there, ready to pick us back up and forgive
So
us.
Hashem takes away his help. They fall and do they go, oh, I'm going to kill them all.
Yeah. When he says I'm going to kill them all, obviously, as they say in America, he obviously knew he wasn't, because he knew. Moshe then argues. This is the Gemara in Brochus, I think. What about the Nuns? I think when I can't remember where it is actually. When Moshe argues fiercely to defend Klal Yisrael, but he gives arguments. What will the Goyim say? And a million arguments. But Hashem knew the argument, so he knew he wasn't going to do it. So, of course, the whole thing was in order to evoke the response from Moshe Rabbeinu in the first place.
He killed many of them. The whole Dar got killed.
Say that again?
The whole Dar died in the Midbar.
Not because of that. Because of the Bragling, not because of the
Right.
Okay. So, Bekitzer, if you live in a generation, you can be inspired or you can be chazik from the fact that they were forgiven. If you are an individual who's made a mistake, then automatically you are going to be somebody who will think, oh, Hashem's finished with me. Now, if you remember from our shiurim together and our other shiur, which we are doing when we learn the Chavos Lobos, remember the astonishing thing of Shara B'tochen is chapter 1. Do you remember what chapter 1 says? Remember how big chapter 1 is? It's a paragraph. One paragraph. Astonishing thing. I'll show it to you. Saying we're in my learning room. Astonishing. Chapter 1. I mean, the introduction is very long. And Shara B'tochen, chapter 1 is... There. That's chapter 1. Can you see that? That little bit there. That's chapter 1. Not even a chapter. That's a paragraph. So when we talked about this before, there's a difference between kamas and ekos. Normally, you take a long time to say something, especially as I'm finishing my new book. I'm looking at it, I'm written quite a lot here. But sometimes you don't need to say it. And just 5 words will do. Danger, keep out, or keep out, danger of death. Suppose there's a sign. It's written in big red letters. Danger, keep out, danger of death. Something like that. 5 words. Do you have to say anything else? That's it. It is
maybe
so...
for Israelis.
Sorry?
Maybe for Israelis, you have to say more.
Maybe for Israelis, yeah. Or French. Lots of that. But Keith said, sometimes it's just, the words are so, don't have to be long because, boom. What does he say there? He says in that chapter that it sometimes is the case that a person, because your alignment are in danger, because you have betochen, you're in danger. Why? Because you say to yourself like this, I've let Hashem down. Boy, I've let Hashem down. He's finished with me. He must have washed his hands with me. And then you give up any connection or any hope of being connected to Hashem because you know that you've blown it. But you've got to know that Hashem you're never blown it with Hashem. There's always a way back. And you've got to know that Hashem will forgive you even when you don't need to deserve to be forgiven. So that if you're in a generation that doesn't deserve to be forgiven, nor did they deserve to be forgiven that the Egel is off and Hashem forgive them. If you're an individual who makes a mistake, then remember David HaMelech. Because the road that's always blocked, that there's no way back, is the one where you're Chayav Misa, and you've made there's a Chayav Chorus rather, and there is a Chil Hashem involved. If there's a Chayav Chorus and a Chil Hashem, the Rambam says, you're finished. But there's a way back from that as well. And again, we've discussed that in the past. David HaMelech, whatever he did, was certainly a huge Chil Hashem. However, we understand that. It's off God's self when, of course, Shlomo HaMelech is trying to open the Mishkan and the doors won't open. It's David HaMelech when he, what's the word in English? When he evokes David HaMelech's name or his Tehillim. That's when the doors open, and everybody knew that really at that point David had been forgiven and he hadn't done anything wrong in actual. So that an individual, Hashem takes away the Siyata Shema from David Melech or the Meiser of Bathsheba in order that people will be inspired in future generations to say, if I, Yehudi and Rubenstein, have done things which have been, I've let Hashem down, and how many have I done since last night at this time, 24 hours? Yeah, probably lots. Dabbling without kavana, maybe it's one lashon hara, maybe I get angry about something, I don't know, a million things. And you think, well, that's it, he'll be finished with me. No, he's not. He's not. Okay. So back to what we're talking about. The counting of the Jewish people is Avi's explanation is the general one, or we could say it's because it's after the Egel Azov, or it's because it's setting up the Mishkan. I want to tell you what the Ramban says about the reason why the Jewish people are counted here. So I'm going to read this to you. And so he says the following thing. Hutzrach l'kosav lahakid mispar haklal la'acher shagid haprati. The psukim here, the pasuk here was compel. Now, I'll share my screen with you. Hold on. I'll show. I've been learning tricks. How about that? All right. How about this? I hope you're impressed. Are you impressed? The wrong one. There.
That is impressive.
Come on. There you go. You can see that, yes?
Yeah.
Isn't that good? Very close. Okay. So we'll see why in a second. I'm showing it in a second. After it counts the individuals, then you've got to count the whole number. What was the whole number, right? So you get your place 25,000 in one shevet and 50,000 in another shevet. What was all the number of Jews, which is 600,000? And Ramban says you have to do that. Because Moshe and Aaron were told to count the people. V'yodam it means we call shevet after we counted all every tribe. Ki kol derech malachim b'manusam es ha'am. Because you want to know the population of the United States of America. It's not just the states; it's the United States. We want 350 million, not just how many people in New York. And then he says the reason he feels, or he discusses the reason why they were counted at this point. Now listen carefully. V'lo habenoisi tam hamitzvah hazais. And I don't understand why they're told to be counted here. Why Hashem told them to do this? Don't know. I get the idea that this number would be at their flags and their various degolim, their various encampments. But I don't really, why they're counted at all, I don't really get. So he gives three possible answers. And always when I'm teaching in the seminary in Yeshiva for the first time, I always point out that the first Ramban in the Torah points to the first Rashi in the Torah and says, I don't understand this. I don't understand the Rashi. Rashi himself several times in the Chumash says, I don't understand the Pasuk. So here, same idea, another Ramban. Ramban's not embarrassed to say, I don't understand. It says maybe. So he's got a couple of maybes. Ulai. Ulai lahadiyim chasta alehem ki b'shvatim b'shivim nofesh yod l'avseim l'mitzrayim. So answer number one, maybe it was to show the chesed of Hashem is baruch to Klal Yisrael, because when they went down to Mitzrayim, there were 70 souls, and now today there are 600,000 adult male Jews, and of course they're married, they have children, etc. Something like 3 million altogether. So it shows you the chesed of Hashem is baruch that he turned those 70 souls into 3 million. Answer number one. Answer number two, says the Ramban, and again it's an ulai, an efsher, maybe. The Achri called over Amagefa Yimonam. And after every plague, every disastrous, they counted to see how many people were left. That he elevates a nation, and then he mochets, they're crushed. But Hashem will cure them again. These are psukim from Eoy, incidentally. So it's to demonstrate that Hashem had forgiven them. Okay, that would be that. Answer number three, the one that Avi mentioned. Another reason is that they now have to come in front of the Av Hanavim, Moshe Rabbeinu himself, and they come together. It comes with his brothers, or rather, we come in front of Aaron and his brother, Moshe and his brother Aaron. And they all come with their Sefer Yuchsim, all come with their Yichus, to show exactly what tribe and who they belong to. Ki bo b'soid ha'am, b'kisiv b'nei Yisrael, b'skus rabim b'sparim. And here he says, listen to this. Ki bo b'soid ha'am, u'b'ksav b'nei Yisrael, b'zichus harabim b'sparim. They are being presented to Moshe to be counted as part of Klal Yisrael, and that itself is an incredible thing. Ki bo b'soid ha'am, b'ksav yad b'Yisrael, b'zoch harabim b'sparim, b'lavakein l'kulam skus. It will be a skus for everyone that they're counted in front of Moshe and Aaron. Because he looks at them with a warm, a loving eye. To daven for them, to give them a bracha, to ask for rachamim. And he says to them, Hashem should multiply this number of your family, and it should be for a bracha. Boom, says the Rambam. 3 maybes. With me so far? Nod. Yeah, just make sure you're here. Okay, at this point, so the Ksaf Sefer, incidentally, he said, the Ksaf Sefer, which I'm out to speed through, the Ksaf Sefer says, if you look here in Mem Dalet and Mem Vav, it says Pekudim, the number, the total 3 times. Ele Pekudim, again, Pekudi, and then if you see my arrow, there's another Pekudim there. Why 3 Pekudim? He says it refers to the Ramban's 3 reasons. So those 3 reasons, these are the reasons, and they're hinted at in the Pasuk. Rabbi Yerucham, he says this. Can you see that? Here, can you see my little twiddly thing there? My arrow goes over there, it's a little cross. Can you see that? Okay. You switched off. You guys have switched off. There's a noise in the background. Yeah, noise in the background. Okay, fine. Good, as long as you can see. Right. Something went bingy bonk. Okay, look. Can you see where I'm pointing now? So here at this point here is the Ramban we just looked at, to Bechul. The Nira. So Rabbi Yerucham says the following thing, and this is beautiful. And it says to me, he says, V'nira da kushya lama hoyat sarach leminyan. And it seems that the question of why was it they needed to count them here? B'zehu be'emes ateres. That's really the answer. The question why? That's really the answer. That the counting had no other different explanation and different purpose except to be counted. Ki im l'shem minyan, except for the idea of being counted. Bir hadraim. So what does that mean? Omer Chazal. So he says that's pshat in the Ramban. Meroiv ki bosan moina oisim kol shah. So this is the answer that Avi mentioned before. That they're counted all the time, regularly, whenever there's something going on, as a demonstration of Hashem's love for them. It's the way that people normally understand that, in a way which is superficial. When I was in Gateshead Yeshiva, the ultimate insult is to say that's a balabatish akasha. A balabos, that from a yeshiva bocha and a Haredi yeshiva like Gateshead, I'm sure it's the same as Ponevezh and Mir, to call somebody a balabos, I mean, wow, that's terrible. A balabatish. He says, if you understood that, the idea, the way Abi said it before, which incidentally is the way I always teach it, and the Ramban himself said that, if you understand that, like the person who takes out the coins and counts them, he says that's amaratzas, that's a balabatisha havana. A terrible insult from your Yerucham here. Who minor Isam is Hashem is Barak because he loves them and because they're part of his collection, he takes them out and he counts them. Kavisha Mosef Chavidim Alav, as though the coins would be precious to him. Who minor Isam Bekol Shah, so he counts them all the time. Lafizeh Haminyan Ena Eza Inyan Sheish Loi Tachlis Bifnei Atzma. If that's the Peshat, then the counting has got no value in and of itself. It's only a vehicle, a keli, to demonstrate and to show that the Rabban Shem loves Klal Yisrael. But it could have done it in other ways. It could have sent us, tweet, an email, or send us a postcard or a birthday card, something like that. So the counting is just a way to show something else. The Iker is the something else. And this is just awful. It's just Chas v'shalom to say such a thing says Rabbi Yerucham of Mir. Ela Siman Hamoira al Chabivas, Shalom Nimna, Etzelomaina. The whole purpose, according to that, the Amaratzi explanation is simply from the point of view of demonstrating his love. It's got no value in its own right for the counting. Oposhet hu etzel kol bardas. But anybody who's a Baal Seichel, a Ben Torah, who's got a brain inside their head, will know she'ein shayach lomer kein etzel abarius baruch shemai. To say that that's the reason why Hashem counted them is balabatish. Hashem zecharono yivarech, quoting the pasuk continuing. If Hashem remembers you, counts you, it's a bracha. Hashem counting you, that's a bracha. It's not a derech, something that's toffel to the ikar. This is the ikar. He's going to see very, very strong language here in a second. Let's see. That was actually pretty strong up to now, come to think of it. He said, Zechiras HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zechiras HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem remembering you, Harihi HaBracha, that itself is a bracha. Of the Be'emes, Haminyan, Atzmo, Huya, Bechinas, Hadarga, Bechibas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there are madrigas of demonstrations, madrigas of love that Hashem can feel for you, and one of them is called counting. Not something which is to the tzad. This is right. This is center stage. To be counted, that's a demonstration of his love, a demonstration of bracha. Ve'ein l'shar laharech hamayla v'esayla shazocha klal Yisrael al yidei amina. It's hard to work out how enormous it is for Klal Yisrael to be counted. The bracha that comes from being counted. Ein mayla zu pochus ercha midregas v'karvena l'fnei Har Sinai. It's no less a thing than coming in front of Har Sinai. Wonderful thing. To be counted, and then more than that, let's read on. As an incredible mila that Klal Yisrael will have and gets and got. By a darga, bechibas habaris baruch shemoy, ahava rabba aftana, and a wonderful demonstration of Hashem's love for us. Allah Zilhi called Kabbalah Satara, which is the whole point of Kabbalah Satara, he says. The call Mashi Yochum Zakai Sazakim Rak Al Yidei Chiba. That which we got through love and the fact, Kerven of Har Sinai, and to be counted, that was altogether Torah. But to be counted, he said, that's the exact same thing. The fact that Hashem counts you means the same thing. Are you getting that? Is that okay? I'm going to get rid of that for just now. I'm going to bring you back to the top of the page, and then I can see you better. Did you get that? Abby, you with me? Okay, volume. So it's a different shot. Okay, it's over here. We've done our Ksav Sefer. We've done our Rabbi Yerucham. Okay. I saw in the Masechta Haggadah, which of course is a huge, big, thick volume, very lomdos. I mean, it's got everything in it. It's absolutely fantastic. I saw something which I thought was an incredible idea. Stick with this idea of we came to Har Sinai, and it says the Ilalo Hoitzi Hakadosh Baruch is Abasina Misham. If Hashem had not taken us out from there, the famous bit in the Haggadah, we would still be with Mishabodim there. Okay. And this is what the parish they bring. I can't remember. I think it's the Chidah, but we'll tell you in a second. And he says, how could you say such a thing? We'd still be there. And he says, Hari HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Nishba la'Avram Avinu b'bris bein ha'besarim. There's a promise from Hashem Yisbarach, L'lo tanai shabbatayim hazman yotze es abaisam Mitzrayim, that after a certain time we will all come out from Mitzrayim. So what do you mean? We'd all still be there. He promised to take us out. It was a clock. So he quotes the Ritva. And the Ritva says, Shim lo hoya maitzim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mitzrayim ba'avur shavuasai lo hoya oisa adar roi legal afi shalamdo maisa eretz Mitzrayim. That would have been, there was a promise to take them out, and if he hadn't taken them out by that time, they would not have been able to come out. If a call came shahino misarvim behem Moshe be'elach v'lohin and the golem la'olam, and Mitaka would not have been able to come out. I'm going to miss that bit out because I want to go on to the next bit. The Shem Mishmuel quotes the famous Gemara. Harry Beloy Shakadosh Baruch Hu Hitziyim in Mitzrayim Lohesa Kabbalah Satira. So we go on to say, "V'yitochen shelo haynu yotzim b'halol ha'olam ha'alo shav l'say b'lahol." Doesn't Chazal say that if Klal Yisrael hadn't been taken out and hadn't come to Har Sinai and hadn't stood at Har Sinai and got the Torah, the world would have been finished. So what does it mean? We would have still been there. If we'd been still there, we wouldn't have been at Har Sinai. If we'd been at Har Sinai, there would have been no Kabbalah Torah. And if there'd been no Kabbalah Torah, the world would have been finished. You get the question? So he says, as the Gemara says in the Avodah Zarah, Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, Shetanai Hisna HaKadosh Baruch Hu im Ma'aseh Bereishis. Hashem made a condition of the whole of the creation. Im lo yikabel Yisrael es Torah ani machzir eskam l'toy v'voy. I would bring the world back to toihu v'voy. Toihu v'voy. So the Shem Mishmor says an incredibly interesting thing. Listen to the Lashon. It doesn't say I'll destroy the world. It says I'll bring the world back to toihu v'voy. The world would exist, but it would exist without a Klal Yisrael. And a world that exists without a Klal Yisrael is a world of toihu v'voy. Without Klal Yisrael, it's possible for the world to exist without Klal Yisrael. That's something Nimrod understood. That's why Nimrod built a tower and he made achdus between the goyim. They wanted to replace Klal Yisrael and they built a place which would be a copy of Yerushalayim, a place with a tower like Migdal David, the Chulu, to be a copy.
Without Torah, the world could exist?
Sorry?
Without Torah, the world could exist?
Oh yeah. The world will go back to Toihu V'Voy. But it'd be a horrible place, a place of mamish evil and wickedness, and an incredibly horrible place. Instead of planning at Har Sinai, and at Har Sinai we are going to be counted. The act of counting is a bracha in and of itself. You stand in front. I mean, we've all, I'm sure everybody here joining the share, we've all had the chance to go to Tzaddik and get a bracha. I mean, one of the Gedolei Hador, to walk into. I mean, usually it's with great ema and yira, but you stand in front of saying Abis here, Reb Chaim, or if you're Hasidish, if the Baba, the Rebbe, the Belz, the Rebbe, whoever it is. And how do you feel about that? But let's rewind the tape. Let's go back to the Chofetz Chaim. Imagine standing in front of the Chofetz Chaim. That would be quite overwhelming. Or imagine standing in front of the Baal Shem Tov, if you're Hasidish or Bivon Lagon. Right? What? But that's nothing. Here they're standing in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron. They are down in Avim. And he's davening for you. Boom, this is an incredible thing. The counting itself is a semen of Hashem Yisborach's love for Klal Yisrael. And here's an Alshach, and we're nearly finished, because I know you've got other sharing to go to. So the Alshach says an incredibly interesting thing in the parsha of Re'eh. Re'eh anochi nosein nefnechem hayom bracha uklal. Okay? Now, the Alshach, of course, immediately spots there's a problem with the pasuk. Again, Re'eh anochi nosein nefnechem hayom bracha uklal. It's in the singular. I should say Ru'u. He's talking to people. Lifnechem, he's talking to a rabbi. So therefore, the verb should be in the plural as well. Should be Ru'u. So why does it say in the singular? So let me read to you what the Alshach says here. But Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to firmly plant in the hearts of Klal Yisrael an important principle. Yisaidus and Yonim ha'ikorim la'ashram b'shrashi aveda, so that they would know throughout the generations what our role is. One, Bal yala alev ish me b'nei Yisrael. Don't let any Jew ever think, l'daber loyma, to think and to say, ki kasher melech bosav adam humlach al am rav. If you've got a king of flesh and blood who has a mighty empire or a mighty kingdom with tens or hundreds of thousands of people there under his authority, then lo yosef sliba im echad mibnei amo lo yitafel b'malachos u'malchus. He wouldn't be terribly worried if he said there's one guy there that doesn't like you. There's one guy, who wants your brother or somebody else to be the king. Because the majority, I'm just not a majority in the House of Congress, in the House of Representatives and the Senate. I've got 4 or 5. See, I've got majority. No, I've got 90% of the seats. I'm not worried about the one Meshuggah, Bernie Sanders, or whoever it is, depending on your politics, who's not signed up to my agenda. So maybe Hashem's not really worried about that. Not so. Maybe as long as the majority of Jews are on track, on side, who cares? Maybe it's Hashem saying when it comes to Hashem. And all the mitzvahs. As long as the majority are doing it, if one or two are rebels and rebelling against it, well, that's no big deal. Who cares? Hashem is not concerned about that. If one or two are not keeping the mitzvahs. The rest of Klal Yisrael will be taking care of it. It comes to remove that ridiculous thought from the heart of any fool who might think that. Don't say this bad, evil thing. That there's no concern. That don't think that rather the Torah is given to everybody. Nobody's left off the hook. Everybody counts. Everybody's important. And then he says, I'll jump over the page a little bit. That's why he says, Re'eh, it's in the singular. Re'eh no b'habit, and consider, kol ish prati michem, mashani noisin lifnei kulchem. Just like when Hashem gave the Torah in the first place, he says, Anochi Hashem Elokecho. I'm Hashem, your God. I'm speaking to every single one. Every single one heard Hashem speak to them. Of course, even I spoke to all of you because the schus of many Jews is Baroiv Am Hadras Melech, the more the merrier. Im kol zeh, im kol yochid ani medaber. I'm still speaking to every single one of every one of you individually. Why? That's why it's re'eh in the singular. And the Alshich says just a little bit before then that ultimately every single Jew counts. And if we can't get together, and if at a time like this, when Jews can't come together to maximize what happens when we're a minion and how Zekusim increase, and we know that. The Zekusim increase when we're a minion, and the bigger the minion, the greater the Zekusim. And it seems that we're living in a time when all of the multiplier of being together and the multiplication of the Zekusim and the intervention that Klal Yisrael can make against the Gazar Din is being taken away from us. Don't forget the Iker that one Jew counts. One Jew counts. Hashem's counting none out. One Jew can make all the difference, like the Gemara famously says in Rosh Hashanah. Imagine the scale's perfectly balanced, all the bad things on one side, all the good things on the other side. Along comes one Jew. One Jew can make the difference. So at a time when we are in lockdown, and certainly we're in lockdown, you know, all these funny things, all the country, you know, all these things, don't wear a mask, except you've got to wear a mask, but masks don't work. And you've probably seen all these funny videos they're putting out about all the contradictory things. One thing is not contradicted is the chashivas of even one Jew. Every Jew is counted because every Jew counts. And one Jew can make a difference even when we can't come together. I mean, if we're Onis Rachmana Patri, if we're not able to come together, then the Torah says we're not, that's not a chesorin. That's no longer a chesorin. It's a chesorin if we could come together and don't choose to come together. But if it's a sakonis nefashis and that is doicha sakol, that's doicha the minyonim, that's not something. But you might think, oh, we're finished. Back to where we started. No. Even when Klal Yisrael seems to be down and out, as they say in boxing circles, we're not. We're going to get back up again. But the person who picks us back up is that one person. It takes one person to stand up, and then Klal Yisrael gets back on its feet. So one Jew counts. Every one of us. So just a few of us here tonight. Very late in posting the Vad up in the Chabura on the chat thing. I'm very sorry about that. Afal Pekin, the message is clear. One Jew, particularly in a time when we have lost our ability to plug into lots of others, it doesn't matter. Because one Jew can make all the difference to Klal Yisrael. Every Jew is counted. Every Jew is counted. Every Jew is necessary. and make a huge contribution, if you believe in yourself and know that Hashem is Baruch never writes us off, as said in the Chavos Levavos, and Taka, we can make a difference to turning this thing around. Any questions? See you next week. So, I don't know how you do that, but it's very impressive. How do you do that? What do you do for that?
You can share your screen, but you can't do that.
The reactions. Oh, look, yeah. There you go. Oh.
Rabbi, you should know I'm already getting phone calls from people because you mentioned our name in the article.
Well, gentlemen, if you want to mention your names in articles, I'd be very willing to do it. The cost for a name is $500 each.
Yes, paid in cash.
Yeah, don't be paid in cash and brown envelopes. Please don't tell Hamadia. Anyway, I shall see you next week, Mr. Shem, and hopefully we'll
Yes,
beforehand. Okay.